Here's a neat little item that followed me home from the flea market yesterday. Now, I discovered a new flea market over in Winchester, Indiana about 2-3 months ago. And I seen this over there my very first time there. I thought, man, that's a nice radio. You know, it said make offer. I really didn't want to drag it home the first time out because I didn't have room to take it home. And a couple more times I was over there after that initial time, about once a month, it was still sitting there. And finally, this last time we were here yesterday, I went back, I looked at it, everything's complete, the chassis looks great in it, the speaker's intact, and it had this nice little sticker on there. It says, make offer. So I asked him, I said, has anybody offered anything on that radio over there? He's like, well, we've had a few people come by, tell them to take $20, nobody wants to take it. He's like, what do you have in mind? I said, well, the cabinet's decent, it needs some work, it's obviously original. I said, I'd probably give you 10 to 15 bucks. He's like, okay. I said, well, which one, 10 or 15? He's like, how about $12.50? I said, sold. So I brought it home with me. And what this is a Stewart Warner console radio. Now, right off the bat, you'll notice a few things it's missing. The indicator here for the tuning location is gone, and the knob does not move anything there, so I haven't pulled the chassis to see exactly what's going on. We have our power knob here, I'm assuming this is a power knob, is bent, and you can see that by pulling that off. See how far out of whack that is? And I also think that that is a replacement knob too, a switch I should say, because the rest of them, when you take the knobs off, are brass. That one's not. Somebody has cut that to fit in here. They've cut a step in it, and they've done a rather crappy job, to be honest with you. It doesn't look very healthy, but in a pinch I could understand probably somebody wanted to repair this set and maybe put as little as possible in it. I don't know. I'm assuming that's a power switch. Don't know if that's a band switch, and that might be a tone switch. I don't know. The grill cloth, I kind of like the way the design was. It is original. It has some holes up here, long tear right here, and down here on either side. It's tore. Now, when I first seen this radio, this had a big crack right here, and I pushed it back together yesterday. You can see it's kind of wobbly, and a little bit of glue and some clamp time will take care of that. And that piece of veneer that's missing right there, when I first seen this radio, was laying down on the floor around the foot over here. So what I did, you know, I'm thinking I would like it if somebody did this for me, if somebody would buy this before I would happen to finally make a decision on whether I was going to buy it or not. I took that piece of veneer and tucked it down in here between the grill cloth and the back of this fretwork right here in front. I had to dig it out, but it is there, so I do have that. It just takes a little bit of gluing. But overall, the cabinet's in nice shape. I mean, the finish is, of course, completely worn shot on it. There's some veneer issues. This is all veneer up in here. It's kind of come loose right up in there. Our top is a little loose right there. It needs re-glued. This is all solid wood down in here. Solid wood on the fluting, the feet. It's in pretty nice shape. It's very ornate. I'd be curious to know what this radio went for when it was new. We also have one other issue on this side of the top. And I imagine at one time in this thing's life, somebody tried to pick it up and move it. The top is loose. It just needs re-glued. And this needs pulled back and fixed too. So, all in all, the initial find is not bad. Now, I don't have a model number on this unit. There's a small part of a tag on the back, but I don't have a complete model number. So if anybody, by just identifying from the front, can tell me what this is, I'd love it. Now, I'm going to turn it around. We'll pause the camera and turn this around, and we'll take a look at the chassis. I'm telling you, it's a pretty clean chassis. It's not very rusty. This thing was obviously not stored in a barn or a damp basement or anything like that. And well, let me let the video speak for itself. I'll be right back. Take another quick walk around the sides here. You can take a look at it. Like I said, of course, the top, the finish is just completely gone. There's the chassis. This is a 10-tube radio. Most of these tubes that are in here are RCA branded. So it makes me wonder if Stewart Warner was actually built by RCA or shared several similarities to an RCA chassis, because besides being about 5 more tubes, I think maybe 6 than my RCA 210, it looks very, very similar to this. Nice big hefty power transformer. That looks good and clean. There's nothing that's leaked out of that. Here's our tube location chart. This uses 3 number 58 tubes, a number 27, a 51 or a 31, a number 55, a number 27, a type 80 rectifier, and a matched set of 2 2A5s right here, and a rectifiers right here. Now what little I do know about this, I can see the very end of Stewart. I don't know what this said, but the last 3 numbers is 324, and that's all I have for any kind of identifying purposes. The cord on it's probably the original. It's actually in pretty nice shape. I wouldn't dare plug it in like that. It's not real stiff. It's still pretty pliable. And this reminds me of Philco right here. It sure does. That the speaker was hardwired to the chassis. Because you can see, obviously, at one point somebody has had this in for service because they clipped the speaker lead wires and then either resoldered them or twisted them back together and covered them in cloth electrical tape. Another thing that makes me wonder, or know I should say, that this set was serviced, there's a Sprague electrolytic can capacitor right here on the top that's obviously not original, and this one here doesn't look right either. Notice how it's smaller than the actual base that sits there. And I don't know if that's a date on it. It has 4 of 63. I just happened to see that. So it has had some work. One of these tubes way up in here, I think it's this one right here, was dated, replaced up in, I think it was Minnesota, and it was dated 4/16 of 37. So it's had a few tubes replaced. Over here's a patent sticker. And I'd like to know what this unit used for an antenna. I have one cloth covered wire poking out the side here, but it looks like something's missing in the bottom of this cabinet, because we have a screw hole, screw hole, screw hole, and screw hole, like something was mounted down there. Maybe they used this style cabinet for a different style chassis, that maybe it used a record changer or something. I don't know that. But the speaker's in good shape. It's solid. It had a few, looks like a few holes patched here and there, but all in all, it looks really good. That chassis looks really good and clean. Very happy with this for $12.50. I think probably what I'll do is we'll pull the chassis out. We'll let you guys take a look at that, put it back in, and I'll probably take this in the house so it don't draw dampness out here in the garage. It'll cause more problems, so I don't want that. But yes, if anybody can identify this receiver for me, I would love that. Again, this is a Stewart Warner. I'm assuming it's a 2-band. It says Stewart Warner here, but you won't be able to see it in the camera. And here she is in all of her glory. It's a rather impressive looking radio for as small as what the cabinet is. That's a Sprague 600 line dry electrolytic condenser, 8 microfarad. Isn't that amazing how big that used to be and how small they are now? This one over here is a Mallory. And we have a nice little combination of Raytheon, Tung Sol, RCAs. Trying to see what that one is. What does that say on there? Philco. So Philco, there's a General Electric, RCA. I'm not sure what any of these are underneath the shields. the biggest disappointment of it all is that my dial scales broke. And it looks like what drives this tuning capacitor, I should say, is a rubber wheel right here that goes against this geared looking part of the tuning capacitor. The rubber mounts are shot in that. I noticed that in the bottom of the case here, all these rubber mounts are they're petrified. They're just gone. That's probably why the knobs are in a weird spot out front there. But yes, the rubber bushings for that are gone. This rubber bushing here is toast. I need a dial scale. Nice beefy screws which held this into the cabinet. Those are some pretty good sized screws that went up through the chassis. Okay, the moment of truth. Let's flip it up and see what we have. Without breaking anything. This is one heavy chassis. I tell you. Oh, this don't look so bad after all. It's definitely all original. Wow. Don't get much more original than that. Somebody has replaced that switch. That's a Mallory. You can see the difference in the shafts on them now. But they all look like they're bent. And I guess I'm right on that. That has to be either a band or a tone control. And that's right in line with an 8 microfarad capacitor, 150 working volts. I like this. They've got this made for old fogies. 0.05 at 100 volt. There's a solar capacitor back here. Here's some Utah branded resistors, dog bone resistors. Some of the old domino capacitors. Nothing's new, everything's original. Excellent. Which is going to need some help, that's for sure. Some electrical tape here and there. Doesn't look like it's... That might be original, I don't know. There's the audio output transformers hid up underneath the chassis instead of being out down here on top of the speaker. Very nice. So again, I hope you all enjoyed looking at a Stewart Warner console style radio. If anybody has any kind of idea of what the model number might be of this particular unit, I'd absolutely would be great to know. Here's some patent numbers, but no model identifiers. Again, we have this one single wire just kind of hanging out here in limbo. Like I said, what I do have is part of a Stewart Warner something receiver 324. So if anybody could help, it'd be greatly appreciated. Thanks for watching.